Well, hello everyone. My name is Yao.
Hi, I'm Sherry, and we just moved back from Boston. We were friends and colleagues in Boston at Berklee College of Music, studying electronic production and sound design, and she had an extra major in film scoring. And we got into the VR space about a year ago, and now we're coming back to Vancouver because this is my home, first of all, and we both think she's from Montreal, and we both think it's a great space for VR to develop, and so we're here to provide to the community and work and expand. So, yeah. We are co-founders of ICTUS Audio, and ICTUS, we are a team of creatives, mostly music producers and audio engineers, sound designers, who provides audio to digital media with a special focus on spatial audio for VR, XR, AR, 360 media, and all of that.
So when we were first exposed to VR, we were baffled by the visuals and overall captivated by the potential of this medium. But there was always something that was off between what we were seeing and hearing, and we just thought there had to be a better way to produce audio for these experiences. And so I went on to do research and learn about what spatial audio was. And then I dedicated my final thesis at Berklee College of Music to integrating this technology and understanding it into real-life work, and that's how Unravel was born.
Yeah. So today our talk will mostly be about some of our work, but mostly how this technology works. So this is Unraveled, and it's a 360 audio-visual experience, music video, sort of, and we released it last year in April, and it caught a lot of momentum in the space because no one really is doing it. And we got into about 10 film, VR, and music festivals around the United States, including the Seattle International Film Festival. Mm-hmm. And it involved around 80 people at our school and featured a 40-piece choir. Mm-hmm. So Yao was the composer and producer, and I was the lyricist and singer. So
they kind of kicked off our company, ICTUS, and I want to show you a tiny bit of it because spatial audio is really a headphones technology. It's not going to come through well through these lovely TV speakers, but just to show you a little bit, and then you can find it on YouTube afterwards if you Google my name Yao and Unravel, or 360 and Unravel. Oh God!
I think there's
is there a volume thing?
I think here.
Can you please play it? Slightly loud. So once you open it on YouTube, you can, if you're on a laptop, you can use the WASD keys, and they will kind of mimic your head or use, your mouse to turn it around. If you open it on your phone, then you can just turn around. It will, again, mimic your head positioning.
And wear headphones with this, and you'll find that the audio is moving. Well, in your headphones. It's supposed to be, anchored at one space when you turn.
Yeah. Okay. We don't want to keep doing that, but instead we want to show you a short behind the scenes of how this project was made.
Today we have the opportunity to experiment with ambisonic recordings, which allows us to record any 360 sound field. We're trying to create an immersive 360 audio and visual experience. I think it's an incredibly exciting time. More and more people talk about VR and spatial audio, but there's no standard just yet. There's a lot of experimentation and new things, new gadgets, new gears coming up every day, and I hope that this project just shows the endless possibility of experimenting with audio formats.
In addition to there being all kinds of excitement and you as a listener being immersed in this new way of experiencing sound, being placed right in the middle of the piece, that the piece itself at its very heart is so beautiful.
The reason why we decided to go with Unity was because we wanted something a little bit more on the abstract side of things. We didn't really want just the footage of 360 video. Unity is a great place to create a world where you get the feelings that you get in the composition.
This project that she's doing is remarkable for our department, and it's also remarkable for the college and maybe for the industry and the world right now. That's our hope.
Musically, we were inspired by Eric Whitacre, and we tried to achieve that with a smaller, medium-sized ensemble by overdubbing. So we're recording the same phrases multiple times, but in a circle. If this is the ensemble, and the mic would be here, we're recording multiple times at different points, and then we're overlaying them to be able to form an ensemble size almost 8 times as large. I want my listener to be surrounded by all these elements, the choir, the strings, and the electronic elements. The idea is that you feel immersed. We have to write it to the medium. This is a spatialized audio production.
And so if you want to see what that was about, go home and check out the song, but be sure to wear headphones.
All right, well, let's dive into this. So what is spatial audio? Spatial audio allows you, the creator, to put sound all around the user. And unlike traditional audio formats, this one will respond to head rotation in sync with the video, as you've seen with Unraveled.
Yeah, and why does it matter? Well, because it is the first line of realism, and although we all know light travels faster than sound, but our brain actually processes sound faster than we process what we see, and so we hear essentially before we can see, and it really anchors the audience with the right audio. It anchors you into the space, into that virtual space, and seeing that in virtual reality our other senses, like tactile senses and smell, those are already compromised. So a step forward in sound will really push the sense of immersion a lot further.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so to understand this, we should first understand how we as humans hear. So the textbook way would be there are sound waves that are going to reach your ears, travel through your ear canal from the outer ear to the inner ear, and where there are thousands of tiny hairs that will take this vibration and signal and send it to your brain. Easy enough, but there are some fun
It's actually not as simple, and especially the way we hear it. So first, everyone hears sound slightly differently, and that is the variables are, let's say, the distance between your left ear and your right ear, the density of your head, of your skull, your head and body ratio, and your nasal cavity, the resonance within it. So we all hear it a little different. And if you just put your hands behind your ears and you slightly move your ears, and you'll find that my voice is changing right now. So when you're changing the shape, you can imagine how the person next to you is hearing a different thing, right? Because their head is different. And second of all, we really suck at localization. And localization is where you can place where the sound source is coming from towards you. And although we hear sounds that are in higher in frequencies better than lower in frequencies, and we hear a constant tone better than a sporadic tone, and we hear vertically, we can localize horizontally better than we do vertically. But still, there are moments when your cell phone is ringing in your living room and you can't find it. So we're not that good with localizing. And to make it even more complicated, a lot of it is actually psychological. So we have a really good example with Unraveled.
Well, through my own experimentation with this, I remember wanting to put a cello sound at a 45 angle up X distance, and when I played it back to people, they would tell me that the cello sounded exactly from in front of them. And that's one reason, because cello is an unfamiliar sound to be put in a three-dimensional space. But if I swap that sound at the same location with something that we're more familiar to be up in the air, like birds or a plane, not only will you hear it higher, or at the place, you might also even hear it even higher. So just it goes to say, a lot of this can be psychological or out of habits, common knowledge.
And so to understand how spatial audio works, first of all, the first technology that we should understand is binaural audio. And who here has heard of the term? Yeah, awesome. So I'm assuming you guys all tried the virtual barbershop thing. Yeah, and it goes around here. Yeah, so binaural audio is a technology who has seen this dummy head recording microphone. So that is a dummy head, and the microphones are placed in two ears, left and right ears, and it imitates the way that you would hear and you would filter, like general head would filter. And so when you play back whatever recording, it sounds like, it's in the place it's in the space, it reproduces the way that we humans hear it in a place. Yeah.
So with binaural audio, a few key concepts. One thing would be what we call the head-related transfer function, or the HRTF. And that brings us to a few slides back when we talked about how our physical anatomy changes the way we understand and filter sounds. So that's what this algorithm is trying to do. It's trying to encode the filtering characteristic of sounds in many directions coming at you.
And going back to that, it's more like, when a sound comes here, let's say some sounds without filter goes into this ear, but then it gets filtered through the side of your head. So when it reaches over here, you lose some frequencies, right? If it comes from the back, then you got your hair in space and all of that good stuff. So HRTF is trying to imitate that. And there's also the interaural level difference, the interaural time difference to take into account. So that is when it reaches 2 ears, the difference in volume and the slight time difference will help you decide the direction in which it's coming from. So if you look at that graph, the top one is the left ear and the below one is the right ear. So can you tell which direction it's coming from? From the left, right?
Yeah. So, but the problem with binaural recording is that their limitation being that what you record is what you get. It was recorded at a specific position, and you'll get the 3D sounds from that very specific position, and it can never be changed. There's no flexibility. So for VR, it wouldn't actually be all that useful. Correct. So what can we do to have that interaction? And that's when we should talk about ambisonics. Anyone has ever heard of this term? Ambisonics? Awesome. So this is a technology that has existed since the 70s, and really it's the technology that captures a 360 sound field. There are many ways to capture ambisonics. These 4 microphones here are just the few ones that we've had an opportunity to interact with my 2 all-time favorites being the Sennheiser MBO over here and the Xelia microphone on the side. So how it all works, once you capture signal with the ambisonic microphone, you will get this raw, unusable signal that we call the A format that needs to be converted through software into what we know as B format. So taking and considering something we call first order ambisonics, which we'll explain a little bit later, what it really does is that the B format that is converted gives you a very specific channel configuration of W, X, Y, Z, where W is omni, means that it contains information of the whole entire 360 field, while X is the front and back, Y is the left and right, and Z is the up and down.
So essentially it captures the sound in all of a spherical space, right, all of it. And the fidelity of ambisonics is measured in what we call orders. So essentially as the order increases, the channels increase, and the more fidelity you have, and the clearer you can tell where it's coming from. Usually nowadays, most things on the market is from first order to third order. It can go indefinitely as the technology advances. For first order, that has 4 channels of of directions. So if you think about your mono microphone, right, being just one way, and then these are the stereo ones, and you have 2 channels now. Then the 4 channel, you have one like this and one like that, and one like that. And then as channels increase, then you start to divide this little sphere into more smaller categories, so you have more information. The first order with 4 channels has directional information, but it's pretty blurry. However, it's supported by Facebook and YouTube, which is why we used it for our project. We could have gone to third order, but we wanted to distribute it more. And then second order right now is Facebook compatible, and it has 9 channels, and the third order has 16 channels and has dramatically more directional information.
Again, good rule of thumb is you want to work with as many channels as you possibly can.
But you may not necessarily be able to distribute it.
Right, depending on the thing. So, all right, well, as a summary of what we just mentioned, we talked about sound being crucial to bring realism to VR. We talked about ambisonics being the technology of creating a 360 sound field. We talked about binaural being the technology of imitating your human hearing. So what is spatial audio? Then spatial audio is the real-time binaural rendition of the ambisonics as it tracks your head. Is that making sense? Well, I hope this was informational and helpful. again, we're from ICTUS. We would hope to talk to you, and if you have any questions, feel free.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.